Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Always Keep Ice in Your Pocket presentation. My name is Brooke, and today I will be telling you all about this project, my mice, and the medical ID feature on cell phones. Feel free to input questions into the chat box, and I will answer them at the Q&A session at the end of this presentation. Now, let's get into it. Always Keep Ice in Your Pocket is a Girl Scout Gold Award project dedicated to stressing the importance of and promoting the use of carrying a form of identification, physical and/or digital, that contains essential personal, medical, and emergency contact information. It is my goal that all of you watching today will become educated about why it's so important to carry medical identification and will pass this information on to your family members and friends to ensure they are also prepared in case of emergency. You may be thinking, why is it so important to carry medical information? Well, I started this project after hearing tragic stories of people who got into accidents and did not have proper identification on them to let emergency workers identify and safely treat them. Should you ever become incapacitated and need to be treated by an emergency worker, the worker needs to be able to identify you, know your essential medical information, such as your allergies and your current medications, and also know who your emergency contacts are and how they could get in contact with them. So, as I mentioned before, there are two different forms of emergency information you can carry, a physical copy and a digital copy. Let's go over the physical identification first. I created and designed mice. And unlike the creatures that cats chase and that a lot of people, including myself, are really afraid of, you have absolutely no reason to be afraid of these mice. These mice are here to help you. MICE stands for Medical Information Card for Emergency. It is a small, lightweight card you can carry in your wallet. It contains essential information emergency workers need in order to treat you safely in case you ever become incapacitated. The mice contains your name, date of birth, address, emergency contacts. Please be sure to write at least one in case one of your contacts is with you at the time you become incapacitated, your healthcare provider, known allergies, known medical conditions, and the medications you currently take. Some of you may have your mice already out in front of you, and others I have mailed some. And if it's not there yet, don't worry, you could print out your own set of mice, or if you want to wait for yours to come, you can take notes on a separate sheet of paper so you know exactly what to do when you have your mice out in front of you. You can print your own set of mice from my website. The link is in the description of this live stream, and I will also show you guys exactly where to find it at the end of this PowerPoint. I'm going to go step by step about how to fill out the mice, so if you have any questions or want me to repeat something, don't hesitate to write it in the chat box, and I will be happy to go back and help you. Since I'm going through the mice step by step, I will dedicate a few seconds after each instruction so you could fill out the card and/or take notes. So the mice is the size of a standard credit card, meaning it fits perfectly into your wallet. The top of the card and the side of the card say in bold letters, Medical Information Card for Emergency. When you finish filling your card out, please place it into your wallet with that phrase facing upwards. By doing this, the emergency workers can easily find your medical information when they open your wallet to look for your identification. So there are two sides of the mice, the front and the back. The front side of the card contains your basic information. Now I will go through how to fill out the front side of the card. So the first thing on the card is your full name. Please fill out your name on the line provided now. After is your DOB, or date of birth. Write your birthday on the space provided now. Next is your address. Write your address on the line. Then are your emergency contacts. As I mentioned before, please write more than one person. Write the person's name and phone number on the lines provided. After is your healthcare provider. Write his or her name and phone number on the line at the bottom of the card. Great, so now we have the front of the card filled out. Flip to the other side to fill out the rest. The back side of the card has your medical information. Emergency workers will look at this side of the card and will base your treatment off of the information you write here. First are your known allergies. Please write the allergies you have in the space provided. I include the word known here because some people think they do not have any allergies, but they might have some they are not aware of. If this description sounds like you, please write none known on the lines. Again, that's none known. I just typed it out and sent it in the chat box for you all to see. So it is better to write none known instead of leaving the entire section blank. So if you ever become incapacitated and the emergency worker looks at your mice, they're not questioning whether or not you have any allergies. So they know, okay, this person just doesn't know if they have any allergies. So after allergies are your known medical conditions. Write medical conditions you have on the space provided. Again, the word known is here. Some people think they do not have any medical conditions, but they might have some they are not aware of. If this description sounds like you, please write none known. Again, that's none known. It's the same phrase I just typed in the chat box a couple minutes ago. It is better to write none known instead of leaving the entire section blank so emergency workers are not questioning whether you have any medical conditions or not. Last are your medications. Write the medications you currently take on the space below. Congratulations! You just finished completing your mice. Take time now to place it in your wallet with the bold medical information card for emergency phrase face up. Make sure that bold phrase is visible in your wallet. Now, let's talk about digital emergency information. Did you know that all modern phones allow you to input your emergency information? It's really cool and it can save your life. The medical ID feature is a feature on your phone that contains essential emergency information. If you ever become incapacitated, an emergency worker will be able to treat you safely and contact your emergency contacts simply by opening this feature. They can access it even if your phone is locked. The medical ID feature is basically a digital copy of the mice, except the medical ID feature contains medical notes, your blood type, whether or not you are an organ donor, and your weight and height. Now let's look at how you could set up the medical ID feature on your phone. I have 3 separate sets of instructions. One for Apple, one for Samsung's, and one for Android phones. I'm going to go over a brief instruction for all 3 of those different brands right now, but I have more detailed instructions on my website. I will show you exactly where to find them at the end of this PowerPoint. Just like how I did it with the mice, I'm going to read the instructions and then pause so you guys can fill out the medical ID feature. First, let's look at Apple iPhones. You can set up your medical ID in the Health app, and its icon is shown here in the top right corner. Please note, you must have the Health app set up prior to filling out the medical ID. You will know if you have to set the app up if there is a blue button that says Next at the bottom of your screen when you open the app. So the instructions that you see on the screen are for, I think, older phones, because the Apple came out with so many phones and they all have different instructions about how to input the medical ID. It's not the same like it is on Samsung's and Android's. So this is just a general overview of how you can input the medical ID. I will show you where the other 2 sets of instructions are on my website as soon as I'm done with this PowerPoint. But first, let's go over these instructions. So the first thing you need to do, as I said before, is open the Health app. And again, you can see what the icon looks like in the top right corner of this PowerPoint. Then, tap on the Medical ID tab, and then tap Edit. The Medical ID tab can be found in the bottom right corner of your screen. Once you tap Edit, please enter your medical information in the spaces provided. When you are finished, click Done and make sure you have the setting that says Set so the medical ID is accessible from the lock screen enabled. Usually there's a button there and you want to make sure the button is green, not white. So by doing that, the information will be available to anyone from the lock screen by trying to enter your passcode and then in the bottom left corner clicking Emergency and then tapping the red Medical ID button in the bottom left corner. Now, let's look at Android phones. And Android phones include Motorola's, Google phones, OnePlus phones, and Sony phones. They don't have a Health app, so you have to open the Settings app instead. After opening up the Settings app, tap System, then tap About Phone, and then tap Emergency Information. Enter whatever information you'd like to share. For medical information, tap on Edit Information. However, if you do not see Edit Information, you may need to tap Info first. There's also a section for emergency contacts, and to add those, tap Add Contact. If you do not see Add Contact to tap on, You may first have to tap Contacts. Emergency workers will be able to get to that info by swiping up on the lock screen and then tapping Emergency under your passcode, and then tapping Emergency Information on the top of the screen, and then tapping on Emergency Information once again when the bar flashes red. Finally, let's look at Samsung Galaxy phones. It is super important to note that these phones do not have a direct medical ID feature. You must enter your medical information in Settings, and then it will automatically appear on your lock screen once you tap Done. So to add your medical information, first go to Settings and tap Lock Screen and Security, then tap Info and App Shortcuts, then tap Owner Information. Enter your emergency information and then choose Done. To add emergency contacts, you'll need to add phone numbers to the ICE in case of emergency contacts group in the Contacts app. First, open the Contacts app. Then tap the Groups button in the top right corner. Tap on the ICE Emergency Contacts group and add your emergency contacts. Then hit Save. To enable the calling of emergency contacts from the lock screen, you'll need to make sure your phone is locked first. Next, go to the lock screen without actually unlocking it. Hold the phone icon and drag it to the center of the screen. When the keypad shows up, hit the Emergency Call button. Then, you can add contacts from your emergency group by hitting the plus symbol by each new contact. You can have up to 3 contacts from the ICE group. Once you are finished, your information will now appear on the lock screen. So that's the end of the PowerPoint, and now we'll have a little Q&A session. So if you have any questions, you could type them into the chat now. And while we're waiting for those, on the screen right now, in the white letters, you could see the link to the website. So you can copy that down, or you could take a picture of it or pull it up on another device. Okay, so I'll just go over some frequently asked questions first. So one of the questions I've been getting is, what exactly is the Gold Award? So the Girl Scout Gold Award is the highest earning award a Girl Scout can get. It is a project that the Girl Scout does that not only benefits her community, but also has a national and global link. So it really benefits not only just her family members and her friends and her students at school, but it helps the whole entire world. Another question I got is, are emergency workers trained to look for your medical information? And the answer to that is yes, they are. I consulted 2 girls in my class who were training to be EMTs, and they said that one of the first lessons they learned was where to look for medical information, and they were taught check their wallet and check their phone. Oh, I see we have one question in chat now. It is, how did you come up with this great idea? So, a couple years ago, my grandfather actually was in a car crash, and his wallet went flying, and when the emergency workers got on site, they didn't know who he was. They didn't know he was allergic to penicillin. And since they didn't know his name or his emergency contacts, my grandmother didn't find out that he was in a car crash until hours after it actually happened. So I want to make sure that all of you don't have that happen in case you ever are in such a tragic accident. And then there was another more recent story. It was 3 years ago. One of my classmates said, "Oh, Ma, I'm going to go study for the biology regions. I'm going to ride my bike to the library." and he left his phone at home because he didn't want to be distracted. So he took his textbook, put it in his backpack, got on the bike, and started riding his bike to the library. Unfortunately, a car hit him, and he had to be transferred to the hospital. And since he only had his biology textbook on him, the emergency workers saw the high school label in the inside cover of the textbook and saw his name underneath that label. So the emergency workers had to call the high school to get the contact information for the boy's parents before the boy's parents actually found out. Then, just in case you're wondering, that boy is okay now, and he's safer. He was wearing a helmet, but I want to make sure that you guys watching don't have that happen to you, and to your family members and friends as well. So it's super important that you share this information with as many people as you can get. They could be your family members, your fellow peers if you're in school, your friends, coworkers, anyone. So now let's look at the website. I'll just put it on the screen now. So this is the website. I designed it myself. You can see the about and the why carry emergency information on it. And at the top, we have the two tabs that say medical information card for emergency, and then the cellular devices. So if you want to get your own sheet of mice, you can press download and print, and then you're brought to this screen. And once you click download now, another tab will open up with a PDF of 8 mice on 2 different sheets. You could print them out double-sided and cut them out and then put it in your wallet. Keep one for yourself, and please give the 7 other mice to your family members or friends or coworkers. So as I mentioned before, the more detailed instructions about how to fill out the medical ID feature on cellular devices is found on my website. So you hover over the cellular devices tab, and then, for example, Apple's. There are 3 different sets of instruction for Apple iPhones. So the most recent phones are at the top. There's a lot of them. And then you can see here's how to set it up, here's how to access it, and then you scroll down and there are the more older phones and the same thing, how to set it up and how to access it. And then there's also a giant picture of the Health app icon at the top of the screen in case you don't know what the Health app icon looks like. There are also the more detailed instructions for Androids and Samsungs on the website as well. And, as you can see, we have social media! So please follow the Keep Ice in Your Pocket Instagram and Twitter pages. You can see the schedule for when we're having more live streams. You can see what the mice looks like, what the medical ID feature on an iPhone looks like. The same goes on the Twitter page. You can see this is the Twitter. You can scroll down, see everything. So it's super important that you stay informed about keeping ice in your pocket. So that is the end of the live stream. Thank you all so much for coming out tonight. Tomorrow at 9 a.m. and 8 p.m., I am holding an Instagram Live, and that Instagram Live will be a live demonstration about how to fill out the medical ID feature on both an Apple and Android phone, and how to fill out the mice. We have a special guest coming, so you don't want to miss it. And then on Friday, we will be holding another YouTube live stream at 9 a.m. and 8 p.m. So, once again, thank you all so much for joining me here. If you want more information, that's the website on the screen. You can see the URL at the top. And you can also find the URL in the description of this live stream. And remember to follow on Instagram and Twitter. So I hope you all learned something and will pass this vital information on to your family members, friends, coworkers, peers, and just people in your community. It is so important that all of you are prepared in case of emergency.